first ever podcast. Dennis, and with me are Jack Jr., and Mike. We're going to be your host today for this first ever podcast for this United States Constitutional Group. And we're located in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. The USCG, as we call ourselves, was created due to partisan bickering between parties in local, state, and federal office. Our goal is to educate our members and the public socially, morally, and intellectually to give them a better understanding of the United States Constitution, current affairs, and politics in the United States. We encourage everyone to be patriotic and respect the laws of our country, which are derived from the Constitution. The USCG is not party affiliated, and people need to understand that we the people give elected representatives the honor of representing us. We believe they have failed, and regardless of what political party you're associated with, the time has come that we stand united and pledge to take back our government that is for we the people. But before we go and tell you who we are, we're going to tell you a little bit about ourselves and what our backgrounds are. Show that we're just two average guys, just got fed up with politics. So, Jack, you want to go first?
Sure. My name is Jack. I'm a retired sergeant from New York City Police Department. During that time, and after we retired, we started our own family business delivering home heating oil. And then we retired down to South Carolina, which was great because I felt like I was back in the United States again. And I left the social state of New York. It was like that for a little bit, and then I realized that we have some problems with our local officials down here in South Carolina also. I joined a bunch of clubs, tried to get myself in the groups to try and change this, but I could never find a group that was doing the right thing. And then I met Dennis at a job we both were doing, and we like-minded, and we started this group together, United States Constitutional Group. We started educating ourselves on it, and we decided to take it a little further, make a podcast, go along with the group. You know, as Dennis said before, it's meet at the tavern. There's a reason for that. That's where our founding fathers met to talk about the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
Again, my name is Dennis, and I have 32 years in law enforcement, 22 years in corrections. I retired in Albany, New York, and I've had 10 years in policing, both in New York and down here in South Carolina. I also spent 14 years in the military. First 4 years was in the Air Force, and then 10 years in the Army National Guard after 9/11. I also spent 1 year in Iraq as a photojournalist, one of the best jobs I ever had, writing stories about our soldiers, doing great things for the Iraqi people. We're just two average guys, like I said earlier, we're working and we're fed up with politics. So we decided to do something about it. And this is our podcast to educate people of all generations so we can make better decisions when voting for elected officials. I mean, if you're like us, you're probably fed up with politics. Politicians in both parties, Republicans and Democrats, all of them are no good.
Yeah, that's true. We have two parties in my mind. We have socialists that lean Democrat, and we have Republicans who are scared to say anything because they might be called a systemic racist. So they don't take care of any policies that they want to take care of because, well, they're going to be called a systemic racist, white supremacy, all the good slogans that they come up with down there in Washington, D.C. We don't have leaders representing us today who are there to represent us with passion over our country and the people. James Madison had said, over 200 years ago, that's how smart this guy was, that one of the worst evils in every republic, which they studied governments, and that's why they came up with a republic and not a democracy, is where the statesmen represent their own self-interest instead of the people that got them there. And it appears at this time in history, those are the only politicians we have.
I agree.
Yeah. In this system, we have a government that allows the citizens, so far, right now, this might end too, who has an endless opportunity to talk about their government, but we can only act on it on certain occasions. And that's what this group is about. To get us talking endlessly about our representatives, locally, state, and federal. Get together, figure out who we want representing us and our future, and our children's future, and then act on it on the few times that we're allowed to, which is every 2 years. Every 2 years we're allowed to.
You know,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
And if you want to follow along with everything we'll be talking about today, we've also got a website out there. We're on GoDaddy Sites, and it's USCG National 2021 .GoDaddySites.com. And like I said, it's called the United States Constitutional Group. And everything we're talking about, we'll put on our website so you can follow along.
Yeah, when we get statesmen back in Washington, D.C., they need to stay inside the boundaries of the constitutions. And the citizenry of this country should have the right to ratify what they're talking about. You know, today's society, we don't have that. And that's what was done in the Founding Fathers. They wrote and explained the government that they came, and the citizens, they ratified it. They voted on it, and they said, yes, we're willing to give you the consent to rule over us in that form. And that form of government is that you're obeying justice and law. You're not obeying man. You know, we're not being ruled. And that's what our politicians don't understand. They think they're ruling us. The minute you get a politician that says, I voted on this because I felt whatever, get rid of him. Because he's not supposed to be up there voting on what he feels. They're supposed to be up there voting on what you want, not what they want. Again, self-interest. And that's what they have. They have that in abundance. They have catchphrases and self-interest.
Yeah, I don't know if you feel this way I do, but I think we've given our representatives too much power, and they're taking full advantage of it. And we got a couple questions for you, though. I mean, just to find out where you're at. Are you disappointed in your elected representatives? I know I am. Tired of partisan politics? Again, I am. Tired of the blame game, too. Republicans did this, or the Democrats did that. So much dang hypocrisy out there, it's unbelievable. We've given these people way too much power, and it's time we start taking it back. And we need to do that together. We can't do it divided.
Yeah, the problem with our current representatives that we have here is they quote the Constitution, and now that we're reading it and starting to get it, we had gotten a book, it was called The Founder's Keys. And this man that wrote this book is a genius and showed you how to break down the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and really show you, you know, what the frame of mind they were in the Founding Fathers. And if you have any more questions on that, you read the Federalist Papers. That's what they wrote. That was like their minutes. And they know they can misquote the Constitution because the media goes along with it. You know, it's almost like it's a state-run media. If you sat there with your eyes closed, you wouldn't know if a politician was talking on the news or an anchorman. And an anchorman shouldn't be ingesting his view of things. He should be investing the news of the day and let you decide what is and what isn't supposed to be the way it is. But they know we don't know the Constitution anymore. We don't understand the Declaration of Independence, a bunch of fancy words. And the Constitution is complicated and we don't grasp it.
The Constitution's like straightforward, folks. I mean, it's in black and white. Just their politicians twist it up to benefit them.
Yeah, I feel this is an awakening moment. I think a lot of citizens in this country are starting to feel a shift. And I think we're getting ready with this group and this podcast, a meeting at the tavern, is going to hit at the right time. Every now and then, if you hear some ice jingling in a glass, well, that's because we're at the tavern.
That's true. So the Founder's Key, it's on our website too. It's a really good book. I read it in one night, and I couldn't put it down. And the Federalist Papers, that was like an eye-opening experience. And they were just this John Jay, Madison, and Hamilton, just three most smartest people that our country has had. And it'll shed a lot about the Constitution and the way it was written. But for the longest time, I mean, I've always told my friends that one day the American people are going to wake up and smell the coffee and realize that these politicians are no good and they're taking full advantage of us. So, again, it's our opportunity to get involved, get people excited, that we can make change happen. But we can't do it alone. I mean, stand united or we'll never win back our country. I mean, we have a lot of work to do, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine if one of our present-day statesmen in Congress, whether it be a representative or a senator or even a local person, tried to write something like the Constitution? You know what would be in there? Nothing but tyranny. There'd be no freedoms for you because you're not relevant.
Right.
You know that they couldn't come close to what these people wrote.
You know, you got the elite class, and then you got the rest of us. They think they're so much better than us, and it's funny to watch, and it's also sad to watch.
Yeah, because that's why this country went away from England, to get away from aristocrats, which is now the political society of our country today. We have
we're going to talk
class.
about the Declaration here in a second, and we're going to show you how. And Jack's got a lot of things to tell everyone about the stuff that our founders saw years ago are happening to us today.
Yeah, it's shocking. You know, Dennis always says knowledge is power. And I tell you, when you talk about a guy like Dennis, first off, the man is a combat veteran. So he's allowed to talk to this country because he sacrificed. And I thank you for that. You know, that was a year away from your family and putting yourself in danger. And
that was an eye-opening experience.
Yeah, and you know what? We appreciate you for it.
Thank you.
And after he was done with that, Dennis is only a couple of semesters away from having his master's degree. So that's later in life. And that's what this country affords. You know, everybody has a life to live and a right to live it the way they want to. You know.
That's true. I mean, yeah, I got 6 weeks left, and I'll get my master's, and hopefully I'll go on to my doctorate, and I'm going to look at constitutional history. I mean, our history is just amazing. But our vision, and again, it's on our website. You can look at it. It's to ensure that all candidates that represent us in local, state, and federal service have a firm grasp of the rights of the people, and they know their state and United States Constitution. These people only use it to benefit their party. It is crazy. And Jack is right. Knowledge is so much power. I mean, when Jack first approached me about doing this podcast, it's like, oh no, I don't know if I can do it. But going to school and getting my education has given me it's given me the strength to do it. Because learn, do what you fear most, and you conquer fear.
Here's a little example of a local problem we have down here in Myrtle Beach. Now, for anybody that's going to be listening to us that lives outside the East Coast, Myrtle Beach is in South Carolina. It's a East Coast town, beautiful, family-oriented, and right next to it, there's North Myrtle Beach, Surfside, Murrells Inlet, and it goes down. Well, in Myrtle Beach, we have a mayor. She got elected, and I don't know what she's done for the city. There was a lot of empty buildings, and after 3 years of the best economy in the American history, those buildings are still empty. And when the economy goes bad, those buildings that are empty, they're going to turn into derelict buildings. You know, we have homeless peddlers on each corner, and they're begging on each street corner, and the homeless is crazy. They're everywhere. And